What is good, my ninjas? Cowboy Productions here, and today we're doing the Shadow Fight 2 tier list for like each act or each boss. The way I wanted to do this tier list was kind of like we measure it by music and boss fight difficulty, if that makes sense. Something along those lines. It's all opinionated, by the way. I would love to get a discussion going if that's even possible, but yeah. Also, I'm very glad that my final video for Shadow Fight 2 did so well. I really hope a lot of the people that subscribed stick around for other content that is in Shadow Fight 2. I'm not sure if I'll do a Shadow Fight 3 playthrough just yet. I also have to play Shades, the prequel to Shadow Fight 3, but the sequel to Shadow Fight 2. But let's just get the video started. The way that the tiers will be listed, there will be a S tier. This to me would be like battles that felt fun, you know, a little challenging, but something that didn't feel obnoxious or annoying. A tier would be basically below that, I guess. It would have the challenge and the hype, but the fight just had some intricacies that could be annoying. B tier is just mid, just straight up mid. C tier, dumpster fire, and D tier is just straight garbage. I was gonna do an F tier, but honestly, we do not need that many tiers for this to work out. Act 1, we fight Lynx. Here we go. His music, his boss music isn't bad. I mean, when you fight his bodyguards, it's the same song. But honestly, when it came to Lynx and battling him, he can go invisible, and when he hits you, he sets you off like a ticking time bomb. I would say that time bomb could be annoying, but honestly, it was not that bad, and it challenges the player in a good way. I mean, he's literally the first boss, and I think they do the first boss very well. I mean, as a beginner, it's kind of difficult because it's like, how are we supposed to deal with these two things at once? The invisibility isn't the hard part, the bombs are the annoying part, and if you're not really upgraded that well, it could still be annoying. But as with Shadow Fight 2, most bosses still do truck ton of health. Like, they take away truck ton of health even if you're at max, so it really doesn't matter. But honestly, with Lynx, I gotta give him S tier. I think he challenges the player in a good way, and his music slaps pretty well for the setting of his boss fight. Act 2, we face Hermit's introduction to magic, which to me was hyped back then. But looking back at it now, Hermit was one of the most annoying bosses that I had to face. His music slapped though, I'll tell you that. But the problem was, whenever you would fight him, he would go into his electrical barrier that had freaking, what's it called? It's like bro knew your IP address. The lightning strikes would hit you immediately as he went into animation, and there was nothing you could do about it. Yeah, you could roll and dodge the lightning, you could time it, this, that, and the third, but regardless, the lightning was gonna hit you one way or another, because either if you dodged close to him, the lightning would spawn right in front of you. If you tried to dodge backwards, the lightning will spawn right behind you or directly on you while you're moving. He was annoying when I had to fight him. Other than that, his boss fight was pretty good and decent, and for that, I really gotta give Hermit A tier. Butcher, one of the hard hitters of the game, in my opinion, because he has like bleed, and he also has frenzy, and then he has this super stomp attack where he jumps, hits on the ground, and freaking explodes you with his ground shaking abilities, no pun intended. For him, he was a fairly easy dude, and yes, I could look back at my old videos and be like, oh, my reaction to this is a lot different, but I'm thinking about it now in hindsight. And personally, Butcher was a B tier villain. He wasn't necessarily an obnoxious boss, but he didn't have that much of like a challenge, if that makes sense. He just did a lot of damage, in my opinion, and that was pretty much it. Most of his issues were easily bypassable, and you could literally stop him as he telegraphs his super move. So, I mean, there's that. Wasp. Man, oh man. I think one of her abilities is that whenever you hit her, you share the damage with her, kind of. I think that's what it was. But honestly, the boat music, it wasn't all that. I think she was an obnoxious boss because every few seconds, mind you, as you're attacking her and you're sharing the pain that you're inflicting to her, she clings to a wall and immediately dashes straight at you. And yes, this is, you can also say this is telegraphed and easily dodgeable, but hear me out. She does it when you least expect it. This, I don't know for other players it's easier for them to dodge, but for me, I was getting dogged on in the worst way possible. It'll be right when I'm about to throw a shuriken. Next thing you know, she leaves the screen, she comes straight back and she dashes straight at you and just immediately impales you with her spear. She is a C tier boss in my opinion. Widow. The lady that everybody was simping for. Bro, she had good music, but her boss fight was so easy. Like, I think I beat her in 3 tries. That's how easy the fight was. Like, I don't know what it was, but she was pretty easy. I watched other fights from her, and she has like this teleporting move where she teleports behind you. Basically, when you fight May does the same thing. But honestly, she was a pretty easy boss fight, and it sucked the most because I think she was the second boss that I had to grind for other than the Titan act. So yeah, she's a B tier villain. That's all I got. Shogun, where has the time come? Because whoever designed you needs to be fired. I can't believe that Neki decided that Shogun was gonna be the villain that could absorb every hit that you inflict to him. I don't know whose idea it was, but it was a horrible idea. Then decided to bring his homeboys to start freaking jumping you. That was so unnecessary. And honestly, to me, he's a good challenge. He's a good challenge. But the fact that you can damage him makes it so much more annoying and obnoxious than challenging in a good way. And for that, I really have to give Shogun a C tier. The music was good. I know that kind of goes against the C tier, but the issue mainly came from his abilities and the aid that he gets compared to you, the player, having to fight him and not do enough damage to him. And if I'm being honest with you, that was just me being generous. This sucker deserves a D tier. Don't forget, before you even fight his last bodyguard, you literally have to fight bro's roster before you even fight his last bodyguard. Then you fight Shogun all like 3 times. And in each 3 times, he gets progressively more annoying. Yeah, bro, we're throwing bro in the garbage. The Gates of Shadows. D tier. Need I say more? Not only do they switch up every challenge, but on top, bro, I don't know if you guys seen my Gates of Shadows video, but the entire boss roster, it's hit or miss. So maybe, man, I feel it's very subjective here. So I'm not gonna just throw D tier just because. A tier, I'll say A tier at its highest, D tier at its lowest. Depending on what challenge you get, it really determines how well you'll surpass the Gates of Shadows. And yes, you could worry about your upgrades, but like I said, these bosses, they don't give a truck whether or not you're at max upgrades or not. They will one-shot you regardless. And I suffered so much in the Gates of Shadows, even though I was upgraded. So I'll give it an A tier. A tier to D tier, This will be the first this will be the first double score I'll give. But other than that, everything else will be one score. The sub bosses. This is when you go past the Gates of Shadows and you meet up with Kie and Cipher. Honestly, most of these bosses were not that bad. Maybe Cipher because bro kept spamming his mind, but honestly, they weren't that bad. I will give them A tier. Last but not least, Titan, the final boss of the game. It can't go without saying that, like, you know, because he basically can control one's thoughts, mind, and actions, that he's not supposed to be a difficult boss. But he is basically like Shogun on steroids. He's even introduced a whole new fight mechanic where he can headbutt you, use the force, basically do a 360 spin, not a 360, but like a he could traverse through the freaking battlefield with his sword, spin around and do double takes, steal your own health, mind you. Unless you have enlightenment, you could give him negative health and kill him immediately. But man, oh man, was he an annoying boss and obnoxious. It didn't offer no challenge to me. Like, yeah, it was a challenging fight, but the barrier, that super shield that they give him, all of those things was more annoying and obnoxious than it was to be some sort of like exciting. It was exciting, yes, but it was obnoxious. There was no challenge offered, in my opinion, besides them just deciding that they wanted to screw you over heavily in that fight. When it comes to Shogun, man, it's a tough decision, but I feel like I would have to give him, as annoying as he is, A tier. A tier is where I'm going with it. Shogun was the final boss of the game, and I gotta give it credit where credit is due. He's supposed to be challenging, but with the amount of times that he BS's you throughout the game, spams his same "get over here" combo, I could do without it. As you guys can see throughout this video, I farmed out both Widow's and Shogun's weapons because they were the last two bosses that I needed to farm. And honestly, I love both of their weapons, but I like Shogun's a little more. That is my tier list. Remember, everything is opinionated. If you guys disagree, let me know in the comments. If you guys agree, let me know in the comments. I would like to hear what you guys think. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and/or subscribe. And with that, I say, Team Ops out. Peace.